Hi, this is Batsuga with a tutorial on leaderboards. I was gonna do a tutorial on distance grabbing, but that's gonna be the next video, since I was just creating leaderboards for my own game and it's still fresh on my mind, so I decided to do this instead. Okay, first thing you need to do is download the whole Oculus integration package, since we need the platform SDK and maybe some other stuff from there, I don't know. So import everything to your project and it will inform it found some upgraded versions of some plugins, so upgrade everything and accept anything it throws at you. It will require a Unity boot, which it will probably do automatically, or at least give you an option to press the restart button. And yeah, the next step is to get the Oculus Application Id, which can be done from Platform, Edit Settings, and you click this button here and it opens the window for you. Here you just create your organization if you haven't done it already. Mine is Batsu Game Tutorials, and then the new application, which is the game name you do. I got tutorial series, and the platform is Rift or Go depending on what you're doing. I think the Quest uses the same one as the Go if you're doing on Quest already. Yeah. So let's actually create leaderboards real quick. We go to tutorial series or whatever your game name is, platform services and leaderboards. You need to create two leaderboards here. One is tutorial test float and tutorial test integer. So yeah, I already made this video once, but I had no sounds on, so that's why there are already entries on my leaderboards. So to show you the create leaderboards, here is the name, the test leaderboard int or whatever it is you want to do. For time-based ones, use the lower is better. Like if you complete level in the smallest amount of the times, then the lower is better, but higher is better for like scores. Like Beat Saber would be a good example of a game that has a higher is better score. So title is just something you put up for a clarification, like a description, like tutorial, float, or anything else you like. Okay, now that we have leaderboards, we're gonna need to get the API key here, app ID, which is this one here. This after I'm done with this tutorial, I'm gonna delete the tutorial series from here, so this key that is my key is not usable if someone even tries to abuse it. So paste it here, which can be found from platform, edit settings if you already forgot. Here you need to be logged in with the same Gmail that you are using here at the dashboard, or it will not let you update the leaderboards. Here set the bundle version to 0.1 or whatever you already have. Then .com, .company name, .application name. Yeah, so let's start scripting. Actually first, make a leaderboards window. I just put a cube with text mesh on it. So for a good size I use character size 0.1 and font size is 50, so it's clear to read. And I made 5 entries, so you can see 5 scores at the same time. You can do as many of these as you want, but make sure that under each entry these are in the same order: rank, score, username, or rank, username, score, whatever. I'm using rank, score, username, so it makes the code I'm gonna do a bit clearer. So when we're done with this, we're gonna make 2 scripts. Yeah, one is leaderboard manager, and one is game info to handle the calls. And let's open these. Then create an empty object that is called script block or whatever you wish it to be. Leaderboards manager and game info. Yep, let's start scripting. In the game info, we're gonna need the leaderboards manager reference. So let's do an LBM. LBM equals get component. We can do only this because they're in the same game object. Leaderboards manager. Otherwise, you're gonna have to find a game object with tag or something, or name. Yeah. Let's do a reference here too. Game info. Let's do an info. Here, info equals game object dot find, like this, script block or whatever you named it. The game object here. Game object dot find script block get component game info. Info. Let's do the help commands here already. Public void set score int. Public void set score float. Copy these and make them get ones. Yeah, and here we're gonna first delete these, we don't need them. Let's do awake. First we make a check that you are entitled to use this application, so you haven't pirated the game, so you can use the leaderboards and you're logged in the Oculus. So let's try core off first using Oculus platform, using Oculus platform models. So core async initialize, so it does it while booting the game too. It checks the entitlements. Is user entitled to application? So are you logged in? Do you own it? On completion, it calls a function entitlement callback. Let's call it like that, since I think the documentation used it. Here we do a catch unity exception e debug.log error platform failed to initialize due to exception. Debug.log exception e unity engine dot application dot quit, so it closes if you're not allowed to use it. Here, let's do the entitlement callback here. Entitlement. A difficult word for not natives. Message, which is the data. And let's check if it's an error. And if it is, let's do debug log error. You are not entitled to use this application. And here you can also do the application quit one. Oop. And if you do have the permission, you are entitled to use this application. and it goes inside this. Now let's do functions for submitting scores. Submit score. String leaderboard name and score. And we do the same one for the float value. Float. And let's do debug.log data saved to leaderboards. Leaderboards dot write entry to leaderboard name, which we're gonna set when we call it, and score. Here we're gonna check that the score can't be negative or 0. I mean, it can be a 0 if you like, for like a game where you got leaderboards for best lowest amount of misses. So 0 is the minimum, you can still get it on the leaderboard, so sure. But here we don't want that. Let's do an invalid value. And as you might have noticed earlier, the score we save needs to be a long, which is basically a positive integer, but the maximum amount is twice the amount from the integer. So I think it's like 4 billion or something, since the integers is 2.1 billion and some over. Yeah, so to go around this, to save a float value, I mean, if you have like a 23.453 and we need to turn this to an integer, if we multiply it by 1000, or the same amount of zeros is the same amount of decimal points here. So if you multiply it by 1000, we get this much. And we save that to the high score list, leaderboards, yeah. And when we get it back from the leaderboards, we divide it by the same amount we multiplied it before pushing it, and we get this value. So you don't need to have a leaderboard for floats specifically. At least I couldn't find a way to do it. There might be one. I'm sorry if I am speaking something I don't know, but I think there is not. Tell me if there is in the comments, by the way. I love to be proven wrong, because that's how you learn. So yeah, first here we do a conversion. Float x equals score times 1000, and int y equals integer of the x value. We don't need to try here actually. Leaderboards dot write entry, leaderboard name, and y. Let's add these checks here too. Yep. Next, let's make a we need a little public list. It doesn't need to be public actually. Just a list of leaderboard entries. Let's do a LBE, so it's leaderboard entry. Yeah. And this is for the public void get leaderboard data, yeah, and leaderboard name. So this is what we call when we fetch the data from the leaderboards, surprisingly. Leaderboards dot get entries. Actually here, first we do is lbe equals new leaderboard entry list. So it clears the old one. So it doesn't just stack all the entries to the old one. Yeah. As I said, this is my second time doing this, so my voice is getting a little rough and my brain is not functioning as it should be. So bear with me. Get entries. And we need leaderboard name and amount, which is how many leaderboard entries we want to fetch from the leaderboards. Let's do an amount here. Amount, leaderboard filter type, which is none in here. Yep, none, so it doesn't filter, it just pulls everything and starts at the top. You can also start from like centered on the viewer, so you get couple before the player's own score and after, I think. I won't use the top one yet, so yeah, that's it. No, it's not. On complete leaderboard get callback. Let's make a function according to this. This requires a message list of leaderboard entry list. Yep, there we go. Message. Now the error is gone from here. Good. Now we check if the message is not an error. Nope. Yeah. We get the entries. Which is message data. And for each entry in entries, we add to the LBE the entry. Debug log leaderboards fetched successfully. And let's do an update UI. Oh, not a public one. Not a public one. As I oh god. As I told you, my brain no work. Update UI. Yeah, and also here else debug.log error getting the leaderboards. Okay, now we need a game object array of entry objects, and for int I equals 0, and while it's lower than the entry objects length plus plus, and if the I is lower than the LBE count, we do the entry objects, transform get child 0 dot get component text mesh dot text lbe no lbe I dot rank, I think. The child 0, 1 and 2, so the rank here is the child 0, yeah. The child 0, yeah. So we don't do this for child 2, which is username. User dot Oculus Id. And here we need a bool is float, which we call with this one, bool b is float equals b. You could do this with like a data from like let's see, a game mode, but we don't have game modes here, so we're gonna do switch is float, case true, case false. Alright, and here we will put the child 1, which is score, yeah. Let's do this one first because it's not that long. Yep, and switch this to score. So it, yeah, good. Here we need the float value. Float f equals lb score, but we first turn it into a float and then divide it by 1000, and then we put the f here. Then we parse it to look pretty with 3 decimal points, and then we add seconds or just an s to the end of the string. And if it's outside of the range, we do this. And the 0 is the rank, so plus I plus 1. Because this starts from the 0 and rank starts from 1, we need to compensate with this plus 1 here, so it prints them out properly. Okay, so let's do for the player hand test button. You can do this with the pointers and whatever, but we're gonna do a simple test here. Just one push of a button, button 1 and button 2. Yep. Info dot set score float info set score up int here, info get score float info get score int. We're gonna put this to a hide first, and here lbm dot submit score. Yep. Now we need to get our platform services, leaderboards, API name, tutorial test float, actually int, and let's do like a 25 LBM submit score test float this time. Let's do 24.20.245, yeah. Here LBM dot get leaderboards data, int, and it's not a float, so false, and true, and a float. Yep. So now as I press play, we are not entitled to use this application. Let's see. Okay, so it's actually not an error because we're just logging it as an error. So, oh yeah. And no errors. Yep, let's clear it so we can see what's happening. Let's press the button 1. So it should be sending data to leaderboards. Yep. And when we press B, it should print, but we have not set. Yep, true, true. Entry objects. You always forget something while doing tutorials. Let's do 5 for entry 1, entry 2, entry 3, entry 4, and then entry 5. Now, when I load, yep, it gets me the. I don't think that's how much I saved. Try it again. Save the leaderboards. Fetch. Oh, yeah, true, because they're higher than the previous test scores I put in. Let's do a 10 and a 14.534. Now when I save them, save and load. Yep, there we go. There's the proper score. So now you also know that it doesn't duplicate the name, it just overwrites your previous score on the leaderboards. Let's try it out with the int this time. Need to wait for the entitlement call. You are entitled, and load, and 25. And the higher is better, so it didn't save. True, 50. So let's save the 50 and let's get the 50. There we go. Oh yeah. So I think that's it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Please comment, like, subscribe. There should be a questionnaire at the end of the tutorial, so you can vote on the next tutorial topic. Thank you for watching.